Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the CSTV. I'm your host, Kathleen Igaltoto, Madam CS, and this is The Striker. Stay tuned and have it all. The Striker, today we are going to look at how Gachagwa responded to President William Ruto in his KTN interview yesterday. You know, last week, President Ruto was doing his developmental tour of the mountain, which Gachagwa termed as a political tour, and there was a lot of actually things that happened there. There was a lot of political hula balloons, and he also made a very serious allegation that actually Gachagwa had requested 10 billion from him, and that's why they parted ways. But in a response, Gachagwa had the following to say as to why actually they differed with President William Ruto. Here is the tip.
Serious disagreement with President William Ruto about Sudan. You know we have a problem in Sudan. There's a rebel movement called RSF. And the leader of that group is called Hemeti, has been the vice president of Sudan. So in 2023, William Ruto called me to his office and told me that diplomatically, a president can only invite a president to visit him, and he has a friend who is a vice president and he cannot invite him. So he wanted me to invite him on his behalf.
I recall you said this.
And he had a letter.
Yes.
I signed that letter, and Hemeti came, and we met, we discussed about Kenya and Sudan, but that was not the purpose of the visit. I took him to the president. Later on, I realized they are doing business. After some time, it became clear to me that the international community had placed international sanctions against Hemeti because of genocide, killing women and children, displacing people, and no other crimes against humanity. So President William Ruto called me again and told me to invite Hemeti again. And I told him, Mr. President, this is a butcher of women and children. And he is using our country through your friendship to bring gold from Sudan, clean it in Nairobi, take it to the Middle East, use the funds to buy arms to go and kill people in the Sudan. I told him, Mr. President, I am a father. I am a Christian. Just the way we are killing our children here through abductions, I cannot be party to what is happening in the Sudan, and I cannot invite Hemeti here because he's coming here to clean his gold here, sell it in the Middle East, buy arms, go and kill children. I said, I will not. He said, you must. You are my deputy. This guy is my friend. We are doing biashara. Do you know by him not coming here what I'm going to lose? I said, Mr. President, I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to invite that man here. So you invite him yourself or do whatever you want. He said, wewe Rigathi umekuwa mjeuri. I am instructing you to sign a letter here to invite a vice president of a country. You say you cannot. I said, I won't. This man has international sanctions against him. This is a man who is butchering women and children, Mr. President. I'm a Christian. I'm a father. I will not do it. I went. Later on, I learned my signature was forged to invite him. I went, I faced the president. I told him, if this man lands in this country on an invitation purportedly signed by me, I would disown him. So the visit was stood down. And then he told me, well, Taniona.
So, before we dive into this video and look at actually many more that Gachagwa responded to William Ruto, if you are new to this channel, welcome home, karibu nyumbani. Remember to subscribe, like, share, and comment on our videos. Turn on the notification bell so that the next time we're going to upload a video, YouTube will automatically notify you. If you are a returning subscriber, thank you so much for tuning in. Welcome back, and kindly remember to like, share, and comment on our videos. Now, Gachagwa is known as the man of the truth or the truthful man. And we all anticipated after President William Ruto said that actually Gachagwa demanded for 10 billion Kenya shillings for them to party ways. We anticipated that Gachagwa could come out and actually respond. And it did not take long actually. He responded almost immediately. And for me, it's not actually more about the impact that this one has on the Kenyan citizens. Because number one, Rigathi Gachagwa's interviews, if Kenyans were to take it so seriously, then it has a lot of political implication on President William Ruto. Number one, Kenyans will totally lose trust on President William Ruto, and this will even give them a more reason why they should vote out the Kenya Kwanza administration together with President Ruto come 2027. But I want us to look at what the implication of this thing on the international image and international relations between Kenya and other countries. Number one, Kenya, Rigathi Gachagwa said that President William Ruto is aiding the Vice President of Sudan in cleaning money in Nairobi and buying weapons from the Middle East to fund the war in Sudan. You know, that one simply means Kenya is funding a genocide in Sudan. That this means then Kenya will be under the UN radar. President Ruto may be under the ICC radar, but at the same time, we may end up losing some countries like the USA and some countries in the European Union as far as diplomatic, diplomatic relations, all as far as aid is concerned to this country. Because there's no way a country will be funding a genocide in another country and then, you know, the international community keeps quiet. So that's the first implication, that Kenya could look like a country that is funding a genocide, and President Ruto may find himself under the ICC radar and also the UN radar. So that is the first implication. Number two, the allegations that actually the former vice president made have an impact on regional integration in East Africa and also the Eastern, that is the Horn of Africa at large, especially IGAD. You know, Kenya has for a long time stood as one of the most stable countries in the Horn of Africa, and we have seen Kenya trying to be a peacemaker in various countries in the Horn of Africa. And the fact that the rebels in Sudan came to announce their government from Nairobi, and now the former vice president has accepted that actually President Ruto has something to do with the vice president and what is happening in Sudan, then it means there's likely to be disintegration in IGAD. The disintegration comes in this way. There are those countries that support Sudan, and there are those countries that actually support Kenya. In this case, for those countries that support Sudan, they will see Kenya as an enemy. And of course, these allegations will actually increase the enmity between Sudan and Kenya. Even when President Ruto will be talking about, you know, peace convoys, peace initiatives, is calling for peace, approaches, nobody will listen to him. How can you call for peace approaches, and the person who is actually calling out the genocide and the fighting in Sudan is actually your friend? You are meeting in Nairobi, is cleaning his gold in Kenya, and is buying the same, using the same money to buy gold, weapons, and to fund the same war that you are saying you want to do what? To clean. And then another thing to solve. It's also important to note that Sudan is never happy with Kenya, because the secession of South Sudan from Sudan was actually aided by Kenya. And if you look at the Southern Sudan national flag, it's almost the Kenyan flag with a very small modification hapo katikati. So you realize that actually Sudan has not even healed from the fact that South Sudan seceded from it, and Kenya aided actually in that secession. And then now again our president is being accused of aiding the rebels in Sudan. So you see, this is going to bring either a war between Kenya and Sudan, a very big enmity, and also regional disintegration in terms of IGAD and the Horn of Africa. The other implication is has to do with international sanctions. Here is the tip.
It's pointless to levy sanctions against Hemeti. The person you need to levy sanctions against is William Ruto. And this thing of Sudan will be sorted out, because if there are sanctions against William Ruto, he'll stop entertaining Hemeti. gold will stop being processed in Nairobi. There will be no money to buy arms to go and kill children and women.
So in this clip, Rigathi Gachagwa is saying if the international community has to put sanctions in South Sudan, actually they should start by putting sanctions on President Ruto. This is an image actually of Ruto in this question. You know, President Ruto has always presented himself as a Pan-Africanist, as a person who is able to negotiate on behalf of Africa in the international community. He presented himself, you know, as that person who has come to do away with what was happening. You know, the negative or the unbalanced relationship between the North and the South. Now, the fact that he's been, you know, put forward as a person who is facilitating chaos in Africa, you know, there was also Gachagwa spoke about the M23, that he has things to do with M23. And then there's this aspect of the Kosovo president who Kenya actually brought in. And this is a country that the UN and other countries have not acknowledged. You know, he raises a lot of issues concerning the image of President Ruto internationally. And this again will take away all the glory and all the CV that he has built for himself. And finally, it has to do with the subsidized fertilizer and what Wamnyoro said vis-a-vis what the implication this one will have. According to the former deputy president, President Ruto received free fertilizer from Russia, but this fertilizer could be changed and resold as subsidized fertilizer. If this is true, then it means we are not likely to continue to receive any form of aid, because we receive aid and then we turn it into money, and then we resell it again. But at the same time, it is how Russia itself will actually relate with President Ruto as a country. I don't think Putin is somebody who likes jokes or who likes to be, you know, taken round. We know what Putin is capable of doing. And from where I stand, actually, diplomatically, Kenya is trying to taint its own image. And from where I stand, if what the former vice president was saying is anything to go by, then Kenya as a country, we are in trouble when it comes to diplomatic ties and our image to the outside world. Those are my opinions. So I don't know. Do you think the former deputy president was actually saying the truth? Do you think what he said actually has an implication in terms of Kenya's image internationally? What are your opinions? Let me get them in your comment section below. And kindly remember to like, share, and comment on our videos. And yeah, see you next time as I tell you why Raila Amolo Odinga must be in the ballot come 2027 as the ODM presidential flag bearer. See you next time, and bye-bye.